The stale Kentucky air hung, thick and heavy, thick enough to choke on, even before the moans started. Sarah gripped the rusty pipe tighter, its cold metal a small comfort against the gnawing fear. This was her life now, scavenging, surviving, and trying not to become a walking, groaning mockery of her former self in the cheese-soaked apocalypse. Project Zomboid, they called this nightmare. A world where the only thing worse than the undead were the dairy-infused abominations that roamed its streets. The infamous cheese mod, who knew such a seemingly innocent addition could turn the zombie apocalypse into a queso catastrophe. The molten cheese zombies were a unique brand of hell. Sluggish at night, barely able to shamble, they transformed into sprinting, dairy-fueled terrors during the day, especially when the Kentucky sun beat down. Luckily, their gooey composition made them vulnerable in daylight, almost like overcooked mozzarella sticks. But their real horror lay in their demise, a cheesy explosion that coated everything in scorching, adhesive goo, damaging anything it touched. Chain reactions were a common, if terrifying, sight. Sarah had learned to respect the cheese. Respect its power, its unpredictability, and its unique corrosive properties. Normal zombies chipped away at doors and walls slowly. Cheese zombies, even in death, continued the assault, the molten cheese dissolving anything it touched. They had to be moved, quickly, before they turned her defenses into cheesy Swiss cheese. She peeked around the corner of the boarded-up grocery store. Two regular Zeds shuffled aimlessly, their clothes torn and bloodied. Easy enough. But further down the street, she spotted the telltale glistening sheen, a molten cheese zombie, basking in the morning sunlight. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Time for some cheese warfare. She pulled out her cheddar chucker, a modified potato gun that launched globs of superheated cheese. It was ridiculous, she knew, but incredibly effective. Against the undead, at least. She took aim, her hands surprisingly steady. 1 shot. 2. The cheese zombie staggered, its gooey flesh sizzling under the cheesy assault. On the 3rd shot, it went down in a spectacular eruption of molten cheddar, showering the nearby regular Zeds, in a burning, sticky mess. They shrieked, their forms dissolving under the cheesy assault. Clean sweep, she muttered, wiping sweat from her brow. Time for looting. Inside, the shelves were mostly bare, picked clean by desperate survivors and decaying hordes. But Sarah was after something specific: seeds. And maybe, just maybe, a can of dog food. She needed a farm. A sustainable source of food, shielded from the cheesy horrors that roamed the land. She already had a location in mind, a secluded farmhouse, a little way out of town, surrounded by open fields. It would be a lot of work to fortify, but the potential reward, a safe haven, a life beyond scavenging, was worth the risk. Days bled into weeks as Sarah worked tirelessly. She cleared the fields, built fences reinforced with metal sheeting cheese-resistant, naturally, and set up a water collection system. Every sunrise brought a fresh wave of cheesy terrors, and every sunset brought bone-weary exhaustion. One evening, as she was reinforcing the bond, she heard a whimper. It was coming from the nearby woods. Cautiously, she approached, pipe in hand. Two beady eyes stared back at her. A small, scruffy dog cowered in the undergrowth, its ribs showing. Sarah's hardened exterior cracked. She hadn't felt this kind of tenderness in. Well, she couldn't remember. She offered the dog a piece of dried meat. The dog hesitated, then devoured it. "Hey there, little one," she murmured, reaching out a tentative hand. The dog flinched, then licked her fingers. "Looks like you're my new partner." She named him Cheddar, a small, morbid joke in this cheesy wasteland. Cheddar became her constant companion. He alerted her to approaching zombies, kept her company during the long, lonely nights, and somehow, just by being there, made the fight for survival feel a little less pointless. Soon after, she was able to find a stray cat who she took in, named Swiss. The farm flourished. Tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, vibrant life amidst the decaying world. She even managed to rig up a system to purify rainwater, ensuring a clean water supply. The farmhouse, once a crumbling ruin, became a fortress, a testament to Sarah's resilience. One day, while tending to her crops, she heard a commotion at the gate. Cheddar was barking furiously. Through the reinforced fence, she saw a small group of survivors, battered but alive. They were desperate for food, for shelter, for hope. Sarah hesitated. She had built this sanctuary with her own blood, sweat, and a whole lot of cheese-resistant materials. Sharing it meant risking everything. But then she looked at Cheddar, sitting patiently by her side, and remembered the loneliness she had felt before he came into her life. "Open the gate," she said, her voice firm. "Welcome to the farm." The cheese zombies might continue to moan and groan, the cheesy apocalypse might never truly end, but within the walls of the farmhouse, life, however precarious, would persist. Because even in a world gone mad with cheese, there was still room for kindness, for hope, and for the enduring bond between a woman, her dog, and the will to survive. She knew, deep down, that against all odds, they would thrive. They had to. The alternative was unthinkable, a cheesy grave in a world gone rotten.